the difference between to bend the upper side and the lower side, you can guess this immediately. If upper part bended too much, then there is a possibility to get speed. But this part is bent too much, then getting very sensitive. Very sensitive. So it's even a little mistake, but easy to move it. So the limbs is very sensitive when shooting, or is no good for giving against mistake. So to bend this part is really no good. So you can realize by yourself when drawing. If you look at some bows, if even it's not accurate like machines, but you can notice, you can realize that which part is bended too much or which part is stretched too much. So if upper part stretched too much, then you can, you may think that bow is too sensitive against the mistake. That is a very good point, I think. This is compared with the other bows. Already I explained about that. But this blue line is too much. So many bows is when I check, I surprised that many bows, many limbs, they are bending shape is like that. The difference is like that. The device one is look at this graph. Look at this. I think you know that what is that? Is the graph shows the string movement. So and the other one, this is device NS. You can see immediately the length is shorter than before and narrower than before. It means this is shock means the energy transfer from string to the arrow is very efficient. The narrow means there is less torque when shooting. You can realize that. Already I talked to you, the cores, wood core and the foam core is different. Wood core reduce shock vibration is good. Then foam core. But in this time, the graphene foam core is only compared with the VS1, the shock and vibration much less than the VS1. So only for limbs. Only limb is different absorption, the shock and vibration. And risers, what is different? I'll explain about what the riser is. The calculation is very complicated, actually. I don't know what is that. Just my development part, people is calculate like that. So only one thing I can say, the upper part and the lower part shape is different. So to get the balanced upper part and the lower part, the upper part have to be 14% steeper than lower part. So upper part have to be steeper than lower one to get to get balance against the shock and balance and the drawing also at the drawing also. So I developed the riser in this time like this. It's a picture is not clear, but you can see the blue red one inside. Is this one? Is this one? Looking is full carbon, but it's different with the Nanomax and the CXT. So I made the H-beam like this shape. This is made by the special steel. It's more strong, more stiffness compared with the normal steels. So it makes to get same balance upper part and the lower part. Look at this one. This is 60. You can see immediately, there is a 3 graph. There is a 3 point, upper part here, and the middle part here, and the lower part here. So this graph shows the upper part. This graph shows the middle part. This graph shows the lower part like that. You look at this one and compare it between lower part and the upper part. The upper part is bigger than lower part. That means when release, the upper part shock and vibration is more than lower part. So just the riser is a different balance, upper and lower. It is influenced to the limbs movement and the string movement immediately. So that is one of the best, most important parts. So I developed this one to get same balance, both of them. You can see the upper part and the lower part, the shock and vibration is not perfectly same, but similar both of them. This is video. You can see this line is moved the shock and vibration, and the upper part and the lower part is the same size, almost the same size. So it makes the string movement. This is 60, the same limbs with shooting with this is I think Nanomax riser, but this is TFT riser. So can see immediately the changes like this, getting shorter and getting narrow. So it means already I talked to you is less torque and the energy transfer more efficiency. That means the conclusion is very simple. And one more thing, the time is almost 1 hour. I'm sorry, I'm very talk to you. In my English is getting late. Please understand that. And the stabilizer. Actually, this brace, when more than 10 years ago, Mr. White, when he developed this vital brace, at that time he could not make archers to have interesting to check center shot and team torsion at the full draw, because that brace is a little difficult to draw it and look a little dangerous. But in case of this one, very easy. So you can use it very easily. The difference, this is stabilizer difference with the before one. You know, the HMC of Winning Company stabilizer is one of the most famous in the world. So this is different things is this. Firstly, they are inside. I'll explain later this one. Firstly, I'll explain the shape like that. You know, the HMC, the thickness, the diameter is 18 millimeters from here to here, the parallel types. This is here 21 centimeters more thicker than HMC. And this part is a diameter 17 millimeters. So this is getting smaller diameter. It's tapered. It's not only shape. Look at inside. The thickness also this part is thicker and thinner. So thickness also is tapered. So, and one more thing, inside also is there is the yellow color is graphene foam core. It's like same material with the limb cores. So this stabilizer feature is that firstly, I try to make this part is more stiff, more hard, and second is I expect that the foam core, the graphene foam core, is better absorption, the shock and vibration. So it influenced the ball movement, ball torque also. So you know that the stabilizer is a hard one is better or flexible one is better. What do you think about that? What do you think? Anybody can talk about that? Flex one and hard one. Already I talked to you. This is developed to make this part is hard, more stiff. It's something. It's a little strange things. Many people think flex one is better to absorb the shock, but it's complete opposite. The reason is like that. Actually, you know there is many kind of stabilizer. The expensive one and the cheap one is very many kind of stabilizer. But which one is better? Which one is more expensive? Which one is no good? Which one is cheaper? Very, very simple. If you try to bend like that, if this is strong, must be expensive one, and the performance is better. If this is flexible, must be cheap one, and must be this is no good observed, no good performance. The reason is like that. The reason is at the moment of shooting, the string go from here and the string moved like this, cannot stretch it, just stop it. So at that time, the riser, when drawing, the riser forced to bend. What is that? Riser is not bended. The riser just forced to bend the inside like that. And after at the moment the string hit the ball, the bend is going to bend the opposite direction. But at that time, the string is stopped. The bend cannot bend the other side. Just at that first moment, the bended inside the light, inside. So it's not bent outside. It's even the string hit the balls. At the moment, the bend is the riser is bended inside. At that time, look at this one. If this part is bended inside, then the stabilizer must be down because it's attached here. The riser is bended at the moment of bend, stabilizer going down. If the stabilizer is flexible, then the ball moved. So stabilizer have to be very stiff, hard to prevent from the ball moved. So the expensive one is more stiff. So you can find out very easily to bend like this when you select the stabilizer. Like that. Compare with the HMC and the VRS. VRS S21 is steeper than HMC because this part is harder than before. It's a thickness and the graphene foam core. So look at this video. This is the last one. This is the HMC, and there is 2 points. There is, you can see 2 points here, and on the stabilizer. So this graph shows stabilizer movement, and this graph shows riser's movement. Riser's showing vibration. So look at it. Look at this one. You can see stabilizer move like this. Look at it again. You can see immediately this part is moved. And remember this size and this size. So look at it, the other page. This is S21. The graph shows smaller than before. Smaller than before immediately. Look at before one. Look at this graph, and this graph is much smaller. At least this 15% is steeper. So that movement is getting less. I think over than 15%. Over than 50%. This one and this one. Look at it again. This one. Still, this is moved like that, but the movement is less than HMC. So it's finished. So, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Hopefully you all picked up some information from that. We'll have a short break now, during which time Mr. Bonchan is going to shoot some arrows. So you're welcome to come down in small groups and have a look. Just please don't come on to the stage. After the break, we're going to have a question and answer session. Larry, Naomi are going to join the stage with Mr. Bonchan and Mr. Park. So think about what questions during the break you would like to ask. Here at Quicks, we are raising some money for the Children in Need charity. So hopefully you can visit the store, see Sophie. We've got some potluck prizes if you donate £3 or more. We also have a few signed photographs of Mr. Bonchan, Olympic medalist, which we would put the money, a minimum donation of £10 per photograph, which we will be putting towards Children in Need. There are only a few, so it will be whoever coughs up to Sophie first. There's some drinks at the back. We'll see you in about 20 minutes. Thank you.
너무 우리 밑에 이제 경경을 위해서 이게 사실은 자꾸 점을 얘기하니까 되게 느껴지죠. 네. 그 느낌을 의식적으로 하지 말고 그냥 움직이고 있는 스스로만 느끼면 이게
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
자기적인 느낌이 들어오잖아. 그 두 개를 동시에 느끼면 훨씬 안 느껴.
Okay, let's move on to the next section. If we could have some silence, please. Firstly, my apologies that earlier on I forgot to mention the two Paralympians which we have in the audience this evening. So now we're going to have a question and answer session. Hopefully you have lots of questions. We have 4 from Win and Win and 1 from the enemy. Patrick. So, whatever you want to ask about equipment, technique, bow tuning, now's your opportunity. We've got an hour or so to throw as many awkward questions at these gents as you can.
Questions for Mr. Park, right?
Which side? Okay.
He's asking you, Mr. Park.
Yeah.
Your limbs, when you buy a pair of your limbs, they say upper and lower.
Yeah.
Are they different? If they are different, does it mean that when you set up the bow the first time, the tiller should be set to 0?
When I make the limbs, I try to both of them is completely same limbs. So this is not related with the tiller. The reason tiller height is arrow position and grip is different. Grip position is different. So it's I'm sorry, I will explain simply. About like this. The arrow is here, the grip is here. So when now before we believe that is push it close to pivot point is much better. The center of the bow is much better. But now is thinking is completely changed. Most of high level archers, the pivot point is going down, 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 down. Of course, all of the archery is pivot point is different. I asked to them, where is there is pivot point first? 이 눌리는 데 어디에 눌리는? 손 어디에 눌리는? His pivot point, what is it? Pressure point is here, so must be pressure point is around here, very low. And how about you? Is a little bit middle part. Also, is lower than before one. Before nobody talked to archers push the lower part. Everybody push the upper part. You remember that, I think. And he also is a lower part and really, yeah, a little higher. So he lost the Olympic selection. Where is that? Yeah, lower. Yeah, must be. Most of now Korean archers also, when I asked them, mostly very low. Low one, as a lower, is a better archers. So it's different thinkings with before. So that makes me, manufacturer, makes trouble. The reason is the reason to push it close to center of the bow. The reason is that we hope that this point has to be closer to get what is that? The arrow groupings. If the pressure point is getting far from arrow, it's difficult to get balance both of limbs, because if push it lower, then when drawing, this part is getting this riser moved like that. That means lower part limb is bended more than upper part. And this time, I think you have one more question. It's what I talked is a different theory than before, much different. Before, we talked like that. When drawing, look at arrow, then upper part is shorter, lower part is longer. So when drawing, the lower part is less bended than upper part. So lower part has to be stronger, a little stronger than upper part. So we made the bow lower part stronger than upper part. That is a tiller height from 1 millimeter to 9 millimeters. So at that time, the reason is we explain like that. If draw length is shorter, archers use the tiller height close to 0 or 1 millimeter. That means shorter. And draw length is longer, then use the tiller height is higher towards to 9 millimeter. We talked. Actually, this is not right. But still, there is what is that? the English. It's like a paradox. It's like paradox. So now it's getting, this length is getting longer, but still till height getting normally 5 millimeters, 6 millimeters, used like that. That is opposite. Actually, the till height has to be researched more. Still, I cannot get a conclusion yet. It's very complicated. The limbs moved when shooting. So actually, till height, now in this time, I can say like that. Just consider the both sound. Get like that. Just from 1 millimeter to 9 millimeters, each millimeters should compare the both sound. First time setting 1 millimeter, then shoot remember the sound, bang sound, and then change 2 millimeters and compare to the sound, 3 millimeters compare the sound, and then each millimeter compare the sound, and then get the most silent point. That is the best way. Then it's every archer is different, and the bow is different. According to bow is different, archer is different. He decides by himself. If he cannot select the sound, then the other people or coaches can help to him which millimeter is the best sound. It influences the scores immediately. Very, very important. You must do that from tomorrow to get the increased score. Very, very good. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
My question is for Larry. Larry, we've known each other for a long time.
Yes,
Yeah, and you've been on the international circuit for a long time.
thanks very much for reminding me.
We've seen the scores increase. What do you contribute that to? Is it technique? Is it equipment? What do you?
Technology, definitely. Certainly in my career, I've been doing it for 31 years now. And over the sort of last 16 years of my international career, equipment has definitely changed and become more reliable and better, I think, manufactured. And it all results in a more consistent shot. So, yeah, training techniques have changed as well. You know, the days are gone of having a pint and a fag and then going training. That's definitely moved on in the last 16 years. It's definitely a more professional sport now. So there's probably a combination of both training techniques and technology, definitely.
Question for all the archers. How many arrows do you shoot per week?
I shoot between 300 and 500 a week, but I do quite a lot of bow training and reversals to make up the volume into my back muscles.
보통 때 평소에 항상
네, 월화수목금.
Usually he shot 300 shot to 400 shot every day, except Sunday.
Well, last week I shot a total of 90 hours. But in the winter I try to shoot a lot, maybe about, well, not quite so much, 250 hours about a day. But then when we come into competition season I shoot less, maybe 150, 200 hours a day, 6 days a week.
Yeah, mine varies quite a bit actually. Probably when at the peak of my internationals, I was probably shooting about 3,500 to 4,000 hours a month. And during the winter season, I did a lot of blank boss shooting. Probably at least 50% was at blank belt to keep my strength up and my technique on. And then during competitions like now, you do tailor it down a little bit so you can get that fine control when you need it for the comp. Yes.
Question for all the archers. Do you have a different mental strategy for ranking rounds as opposed to head-to-head?
Who wants to go first?
Okay, I shall answer while Mr. Koo has the translation. Ranking rounds are very much something I've struggled with in the past. I had quite a long period where I shot an amazing first half and then would drop off quite a lot in the second. So I've had to review specifically how I use the break and my time management in that. Effectively, during a ranking round, I basically try to zone out as much as I can. I have short periods of about 5 seconds of focus before I shoot my arrow. I'm then incredibly focused while I shoot my arrow, and then I reaffirm after I've shot it. If it was a good shot, try and move on if it was not quite such a good shot. And then basically between those arrows I then zone out, count people, watch people's clicker movement, basically do everything I can to distract myself from basically what's happening. I know that if I generally have my focus on the waiting line side, I do score higher than if I generally focus on the target side. When it then comes to head-to-heads, my killer instinct comes out and I just do my best to beat the other person in as many ways as I can.
네. 기록 경기할 때는 아무래도 일단 저의 개인 문제니까.
그리고 특히 토너먼트에서
네,
집중하고 있는.
토너먼트에는 이제 아무래도 상대방이기 때문에 상대방이 어떻게 쏠지도 모르고 그렇기 때문에 더욱더 신경 쓰면서 긴장하면서 시합을 합니다.
He said it's at the ranking round and the tournament is not so different. Still, at the ranking round, he concentrated his own feeling, and tournament also he cannot think about the other people. It's only he tried to more concentrate his feelings.
For me, every competitive arrow is really I treat the same, whether it be a ranking round or a head-to-head or a bit of fun. It's still competitive even when it's fun. And then training is obviously a different mental approach because I'm getting something different out of what I'm doing for my training. So that's more the muscle side of it. But certainly for every competitive arrow I treat exactly the same.
I can answer the question from in match play. I am very aware of what my opponent has got, and I'm very competitive, and I do everything I can to win the match. And knowing, I shoot quite late in the time that we're given, and I usually know what I've got to get, and that helps me. Obviously, I can't use that during a ranking round. And I do struggle a little bit to stay competitive during a ranking round. And that's something I need to work on.
How do you prepare for the level of nervousness that you experience at Olympic Games? We're all answering because you've all been.
It's $1 million question, that is. I've been to 3 games, and the 3 games have been very different. My first games, the night before qualifying, I didn't sleep a wink. But I went to the opening ceremony, so I was still running on adrenaline through the ranking round. And then, as I went to Beijing and then went to London, the nerves were still there, but they were controlled, and I used the nerves to concentrate my efforts. So I suppose for me it comes with experience and challenging yourself, putting yourself in situations where you're out of your comfort zone to gain that experience.
In Athens, my first Olympics, I don't think I had any nerves. I was just really excited about the whole experience. And then I think in Beijing and London, I was nervous and I didn't control it whatsoever. And then in Rio just now, I accepted the nerves. I spent a lot of time with Richard, in the morning before we go to the matches. We have to go to breakfast together, we walk to transport together, we sit on the bus together. And in that 3-hour period, I probably said about 10 words. But then as soon as I stood on the line and on the competition field, all those nerves just disappeared. And I just got on and shot really good shots. And I totally forgot about the nerves and I enjoyed my shooting.
To begin with, I'd like to rephrase the question slightly. Nervousness is, the definition of nerves implies a negative connotation, so the word adrenaline and adrenalize is a much better way to approach the scenario. I like to feel adrenalized when I go into a match, and that's definitely something I require in order to shoot well. I know when I go into a competition and I'm not as pumped up or adrenalized, I don't shoot as well. Take the European Youth Championships, it was very much a preparatory tournament for the Olympics, and I didn't get myself pumped up as well. Going into the actual ranking round of the Olympic Games in Rio, I used music quite a lot to get myself in the zone. I have a playlist I've listened to for years in terms of the run-up to an actual tournament, so that very much gets me into the right frame of mind. I also use a specific paragraph called a directive affirmation from Lanny Basham's book With Winning in Mind. Cannot recommend it enough. Effectively, that's then part of my actual shot routine. It's all about positive affirmation, reaffirming that I am the best, etc. And then that self-belief helps me to control my adrenaline and put it into the right purpose while I'm competing.
저는 이제 얘기가 너무 많이 해가지고
그래.
할 수 있다는 자신감이랑 또 이제 제가 갖고 있는 루틴 두 가지만 하면서 시합에 들어.
He just thinking he can do it, and he has his own routine. He has his own routine. I think you understand the routine is first how to prepare the stance and how to drawing and how to the expanding to click, how to release. That kind of patterns he get imagine before shooting, before standing the shooting line. So just there is two kind of things. One is just he has thinking only can do it, and routine. Two kind of things he answered.